Welcome back to January 19th Investing Accelerator coaching call. My name is Eric and I'm glad you're here today. So, let's talk about the market. And the market has been pretty good this week. Hopefully, you have entered into the market near the end of December or sometime during December or even just the first week of January. If you have, then you would be making quite a good gain by now. So, most of my investments are all positive and things are looking pretty good. So, right now, I'm going to spend a little bit of time talking about exits. Now, you're going to realize that I'm bringing this topic up, quite early, because if you're looking at the market, most investments are just recovering, and if you look at the trend, you would think that maybe in the next 3 to 6 months, it's going to be a pretty good uptrend. At least that's my personal belief, because the market is not crashing yet. So now let's look at one of the investments I'm currently holding, Southwest Airline. So if you're looking at Southwest Airline, you want to exit when it's near the top of the Bollinger Band, or there's a large up day, which in this case you're going to see a large update right around here. That is a large up day. And you're going to see also another update here. A very large up candle is what I mean by up day. Now, most of the time when you see a large up day, like this one, it's not always the end. Like, it's not always the end of the uptrend. You're going to realize, the momentum needs to kind of slow down a little. So you see how the size of this candle is really big. And then afterwards, you see that it's getting smaller and smaller and smaller until it becomes minimal. And that's usually where the top is. Now, here it is again. A large up candle touching the top of the Bollinger Band, which is our second signal. And then you see that the momentum starts trailing off a little, until one of these days it starts to turn around. Now, this is a very important pattern because you're going to see it with EA as well. Now, for EA, you're going to see a large up candle here. Now, this is near May, so that's actually very important because if you have been following the weekly coaching calls, you notice that I'm always looking forward to this Q1, Q2 because that's EA's busy season. And afterwards, you're going to see that it's trailing. Like the momentum dies off. You're still going to get some gain, but then it's not that much. Most of the gain happen with the large up candle. For example, here. Once you have this large up candle and you wait a little bit and the momentum dies off, this is pretty much the price for the next, from May to December. So that's pretty much the price for the next 7 months or even 9 months if you include up till January. So you really want to think, okay, once you see that large up candle, that is pretty much it. You got most of the gain and then you want to exit. Now, from time to time, you're going to realize something like this. You get a large up day and then the momentum trails off and then it keeps going. And there's no way you can truly predict the ultimate high because you realize if you just look far enough, EA will always make a higher high. And that is very important observation because when you're investing in an uptrend, it's always going to make a higher high. Time is going to be in your favor. It's just a matter of letting the stock play out and it will make a higher high, and that's how you make money. So if you have entered EA somewhere between $75 to $85, what you should be thinking? Well, right now you should be feeling pretty good because you're making money. It's positive. And you'll see that the stock is actually shooting upward quite quickly. And that is important because there's a lot of support, and everyone knows that it's very rare for EA to dip below this blue line. So the technical analysis traders are in it. The fundamental analysis traders are looking into it. The people who are trading news, that upcoming product release, all these factors are like behind this move. So you have a lot of what we call confluence within Investing Accelerator. So you have the news, technical, fundamental, basically everyone that is supposed to be there supporting this move. So what does that mean? It means I think EA will break through this blue line. So instead of coming back down here and forming a W right away. It's going to break through this blue line and it's going to hit the red line. Now, when EA hits this red line, you will see this. This is the first resistance. And the second resistance is, let's say give it 4 more weeks. Then you'll see that this Bollinger Band coming down a little to around 113, okay? So this is going to close in quite quickly. And this is going to create a range in which EA fluctuates and form a more solid bottom. Because the chance of EA going straight from $92 to $150, that is really rare. So it's going to go up to here, somewhere between this range, between 115 to 105. That's my guess. It will be topping out. It will create its first top. And then afterwards, if we're lucky, then the launch of Anthem, one of the good games, I actually was watching a YouTube video about it. It looks pretty amazing. Might shoot this up further, but we're not sure. We're not 100% sure if that will happen. But if it is, we can hold on to it. We might want to exit part of the position near this range because I think we'll be making quite a good gain. This should at least net us around 50-60%. For those who are more patient, if you bought the longest possible option, you do have a full year. So hopefully I'm looking at somewhere between May. Because if you look at May, you'll see that this is the biggest increase. May 2017 here, May 2016. I was looking at the pattern. So here is, let's see if I find it this year. We don't see it this year, but you see it for May 2014. So out of 4 years, 3 years you see a surge in May. So in May, it's going to be a critical month for EA. So just keep that in mind. But if the stock price reaches here in February, which I doubt, or March, then you want to watch it as well. Okay? So this is becoming a gain really quickly. Now for Alibaba, you'll see that the Bollinger Band actually close in quite quickly. Okay? Now, when we talk about exit, you want to think ahead. So you want to look at how people have exited before. You see this large update, and then you see it trails off here. Now, this is a longer trail off, but at the end of the day, you can't be perfect. Here, another large update, and you see that the momentum starts to slow down. So this one is a shorter top. So why do I keep emphasizing on this? Because after you see the large update, you basically should have some level of confidence that you capture 80% of the move, okay? So you got most of the gain. So now the question is just how patient / greedy you want to get. And this is really where you enter closer to the top or shortly after the large update. Now, here you're going to see that Alibaba is actually forming a W. And you'll see that this is closing in. So I don't know if it is going to go straight up. Even though if once you form a W, I think it's going to break this high here, 170. Maybe somewhere land before 200, come back down a little, and then go up again. But if you bought the longest option for Alibaba, then I think you're going to be okay. So right now for Alibaba, I'm aiming somewhere above 200. I think it's closer to 220 for me. So I think that is pretty okay. So in terms of time, if you have the 2-year option for Southwest and you bought in this range, I think you're doing pretty good. For myself, I only have 11 months left, so I need to be more conscious of time. So Southwest right now, this week is a very important week because it ended up above 50. So let me take a look. Because I know some of the airlines are releasing their earnings this week. But I don't see it. So we'll just have to wait then. But looking at this momentum, I think Southwest shouldn't have a problem breaking the high in 55. So the question is really when. So if I look at the previous rally, you're going to see that there is a dip in March and then it comes back up in June. So June is going to be critical for me to exit Southwest. And let's take a look at before. Here is April. Here's November. November will be too late for me. So April to March seems to be the most ideal time. So right now it's January. I know I'm still early, and if there's enough momentum to break the red line, then that means I'm looking somewhere at around 62 to 60 to exit Southwest. So this investment is probably not going to make 100%, but I'm looking to make around 40 to 50 would be a good amount. That's what I think. So next, I want to look at Dollar Tree. So this is one of the investment my student is tracking or invested in. So for this one, you're going to see that this is a very positive sign. You're going to see that the Bollinger Band here is actually expanding. Now, when you see the Bollinger Band expanding, this is the kind of thing you can expect, is that the price just keeps going up following the Bollinger Band. And you can see that the bottom has been forming in the last, 6 months. And finally, the price starts shooting up. Now, what does this mean? This means that the price will continue to go up, and the next zone you're looking at will be closer to 115. And this means my student has a very high probability of doubling. But of course, you need to track your investment to make sure that it's progressing as you expected. Yeah, but this is just the beginning of the move. Let's see if there's anything more interesting. Okay, NVIDIA. Now, NVIDIA is a graphics company, and one of the fundamental problems is that the cryptocurrency business is not doing that well because the market is flooded with second-hand graphics card, which is from NVIDIA. So this decreases the demand for a graphics card because you can just buy a second-hand one for cheap. So having said that, you're going to see that NVIDIA is forming a bottom near 145, and this is actually where my student entered. Now, personally, I think this is still a little bit early in terms of entering into NVIDIA because you can see how far this Bollinger Band is. And the expected range for NVIDIA is so much that I think it's going to form a W. So this is only the first part of the move. So if he wants to wait a little bit longer, that is okay. But it's just important to understand that chances are NVIDIA will have a hard time passing through the red line, looking at the momentum right now, and it will form a W. So if you want to enter into NVIDIA after you do your full analysis, then you have time. So make sure you keep track of it. Other than that, I think everything is pretty okay because they're just going up now. So if you have entered already, then good for you, which I've been telling you to enter. If you have not entered, then you want to watch carefully and find the stocks that are actually on discount. Because the last thing you want right now, for example, is you do not want to chase into EA. You do not want to chase into Southwest. You don't want to chase into Alibaba because it's near the high. Yes, it's going to go up, so on and so forth, but you want to buy something that's at a discount. Now, for Activision, you might still have an opportunity, and for Intel, I think you still have an opportunity. But for certain stocks that are really high, for example, Dollar Tree, you don't want to go into it anymore because the move has already started. You want to be ahead. You want to be, my student where you're entering before the move has started. And that is very important. Okay, and that's pretty much it for this week. So now it's just a matter of waiting game, waiting to exit, waiting for the busy season to come, waiting for the stock price to surge, and then once it surged, then it's a good time to take our profits, whether it is 100% or 60% or 80%. Okay, let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Have a good weekend.